In a world where geopolitical tensions often appear as far-off echoes, the current crisis unfolding in the Strait of Hormuz serves as a stark reminder of how interconnected our global systems truly are. Today we're delving into a developing story that could reshape not only international relations, but also the very foundations of the global economy. The narrative begins with a dramatic ultimatum issued by President Trump to Iran: reopen the Strait of Hormuz within 48 hours, or face the obliteration of its power plants, starting with the largest one. This bold declaration comes at a time of heightened volatility between the United States and Iran, with recent escalations adding fuel to an already raging fire. Iran has launched ballistic missiles targeting a U.S.-U.K. military base in the Indian Ocean and struck residential areas within Israel. In response, the United States and Israel have conducted retaliatory strikes against Iranian targets, including apartment buildings and nuclear sites. This tit-for-tat exchange has only ratcheted up the tension, with Iran's parliamentary speaker issuing a grave warning of major retaliation should its energy infrastructure come under attack. At the crux of this crisis lies the Strait of Hormuz, a geographical chokepoint through which about 20% of the world's oil supply flows. Iran's blockade of this critical passageway has sent shockwaves through global energy markets, with oil prices surging and national average gas prices in some countries reaching unprecedented highs. This disruption underscores the fragile balance upon which our modern economy rests, where a single maritime passage can dictate the ebb and flow of energy supplies worldwide. In response to this blockade, the United States has increased its military presence in the region, deploying warships and additional Marines in a show of force. President Trump faces a delicate balancing act, contemplating both a wind-down of broader military engagements while simultaneously reinforcing a military posture around the strait. This dual approach reflects the complexity of the situation, seeking to exert pressure and maintain stability without inadvertently igniting a full-scale conflict. The origins of this fraught dynamic can be traced back to earlier U.S. actions, such as the arrest of Venezuela's Nicolas Maduro in January, which inadvertently severed Cuba's oil supply and led to blackouts, further straining regional relationships. The ripple effects of such geopolitical maneuvers illustrate how interconnected actions on one stage can have profound implications elsewhere. In the midst of this turmoil, countries like Japan have managed to secure safe passage deals with Iran, allowing for some semblance of continuity in oil transportation. Meanwhile, nations like Canada are stepping up to increase oil production in an attempt to stabilize global supplies. Despite these efforts, President Trump has voiced his frustration with NATO allies, urging them to contribute to securing the strait and warning of a very bad future if they remain passive. This call to action highlights the broader challenge of maintaining cohesive international alliances in the face of unilateral threats and regional instability. Within the United States, the crisis is compounded by a partial government shutdown, which has introduced additional logistical challenges. Unpaid TSA officers have been calling out sick, and ICE agents are being considered to fill staffing gaps at airports, illustrating how domestic pressures can intersect with international crises. The stakes of this confrontation are immense. Should President Trump carry out his threat, it risks triggering a cascade of retaliatory strikes on critical infrastructure worldwide, potentially leading to a humanitarian catastrophe and causing energy prices to soar to unprecedented levels. Such a scenario could also force reluctant allies into the conflict, putting NATO's cohesion and global partnerships to the test. On the other hand, successful de-escalation might stabilize markets, but could be perceived as a sign of U.S. weakness, affecting its diplomatic standing. For the average global citizen, the implications of this crisis are tangible and immediate. Rising gas prices, supply chain disruptions, and the looming threat of broader conflict cast a long shadow over daily life. It's a sobering reminder of how a single choke point, such as the Strait of Hormuz, can hold the world economy in its grip, influencing not just the markets, but the very rhythm of our everyday existence. As we stand at this precarious crossroads, the importance of measured diplomacy, strategic alliances, and a deep understanding of the interconnectedness of global systems becomes ever more apparent. How this situation unfolds will not only shape the trajectory of U.S.-Iran relations, but will also offer a telling reflection of our collective capacity to navigate complexity in an increasingly interdependent world. Thank you for joining me today as we navigated through these critical developments. stay informed, stay engaged, and, most importantly, stay hopeful for a peaceful resolution.